Now it's going to be a while. Parker! Parker! My grandson's watching. Have to say hi. I already have that one. You are very important. Yeah. Well, we're gonna have. In Alabama, I want to do okay. Chag Sameach, everyone. And Chag Sameach to everyone who is out there watching us and enjoying this wonderful Pesach together. We are so happy to be together again because the last 2 years we have only been on Zoom, and now we have a room full of a congregation as well as the many people who are enjoying Seder at home. And so we begin, and just a word of thanks to thank Marty Jacobs and all of his team who put this beautiful evening together. We begin responsibly on page 1. On this night, we retrace our steps from then to now, reclaiming years of desert wandering. On this night, we ask questions ancient and new, speaking of servitude and liberation, service and joy. On this night, we welcome each soul, sharing stories of courage, strength, and faith. On this night, we open doors long closed, lifting our voices in song of praise. On this night, we renew ancient hopes and dreams of a future redeemed. And on this night, we gather round Seder tables, remembering passage from bondage to freedom. On this night, we journey from now to then, telling the story of freedom. And we begin, before we kindle our festival lights, saying goodbye to the Sabbath with the blessings of Havdalah. stars and all of them. No,
She's got long nails.
no. Shabbat Tov, we bless God who gives us our many senses, all of which we will participate in as the Seder takes place. The smell of the wonderful items that are our recipes for Pesach, right? The tastes that we will enjoy, the sight of seeing our community, they all come together to give us our extra soul. And we begin this Shabbat. It is a Shabbat, but it also is the Pesach event. And so we kindle the lights first and then sing Shehechianu. And today, Karen and Scarlett are going to kindle our special lights. But they might be helpful in snatching them. Maybe a second. Then we need more matches.
Thank you. We need more matches. More help.
Together we bless. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'chag l'ner shel yom tov. Blessed are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with commandments and commands us to kindle these festival lights. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu Seder means order in Hebrew, and we go through 14 specific steps as we retell the story of our ancestors' liberation from slavery in Egypt. And the steps that we will take, they go like this. Kadesh urchatz, karpas yachatz, magid rochza, motzi matzah, maror orech, shulchan orech, tzachut orech, halel nirtzah. We will have 4 cups of wine over the course of the evening, and each of them stands for another step in the promises of God to our ancestors. So first we begin with the cup of wine. I will bring you out, I will deliver you, I will redeem you, and I will make you to be my people. And so together we lift our first cup of wine, because we want to begin with this early.
Just so everybody knows, the dark stuff is grape juice, the lighter colored stuff is wine, and if anybody wants red wine, we have some at the side table.
So if it's red, it's juice. If you want red wine, it's at the table. If not, it's the white wine, and there's more wine over at the table. But first, and many times we bless. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'charbanu mikol aham v'romaman mikol lashon v'kidishanu b'mitzvotav v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'ahava Moadim l'simcha hagim uzmanim l'sason et yom chag hamatzot hazeh zman chayrutenu mikra kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu b'charta v'yotanu mikol ha'amim umil adei kodshecha v'simcha b'sason inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh Yisrael v'hazmanim.
It's quite fun for me to be here tonight, not only to share Pesach with you, but 2 years into being a rabbi at Temple Beth Dor, I now finally get to celebrate Pesach with all of you. So it's joyful for me, and we'll continue with Borchatz, the washing of our hands. But Rabbi Chesson, in the spirit of the last 2 years, to your right, on the floor. There you go. Because I don't have a sink right here, we'll wash our hands with some Purell. Washing hands can take place twice during our Seder to remind us of the ritual purifications of the priests before they made offerings. Now we wash with no blessing to get ready for the rituals to come, and then later with the blessing, preparing us for the meal. So if you would like to join me in some Purelling.
Exactly as they did in the ancient days.
Exactly as they did in the ancient days. This is how they cleaned the offering, lathering up. And we'll continue with karpas. If you want to reach and find your karpas on your table, we have the green vegetables and salt water. The karpas reminds us of springtime and hope, and yet sometimes we despair of the evil in our world. Pesach calls us to keep hope alive and blooming. Now we dip the karpas in salt water to recall the tears our people cried in Egypt when they were slaves. May we never be so comfortable that we become so complacent, forgetting the pain of others. And we say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Borei Peri Ha'adamah. You dip it in salt water, you pretend. You dip it in Purell,
Yeah.
and you eat it.
All right, everybody should have some matzah on their table. Now, we may only need to hide one afikomen, so not everybody needs to break the middle matzah.
Sure they do.
There are 3 pieces of matzah stacked on the table, or maybe more than that. Now we break the middle matzah into 2 pieces. One piece, the afikomen, literally means dessert in Greek. It is hidden. It must be found before the Seder can be finished. We eat matzah in memory of the quick flight of our ancestors from Egypt. When the word of their freedom came, they took whatever dough they had and fled before it had a chance to rise, leaving it looking something like matzah. And tradition teaches us that the afikomen is the larger half. So you never want to skimp on afikomen. We'll read together in the bold on the bottom of page 3.
This is the bread of poverty which our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. All who are hungry, come and eat. All who are needy, come and celebrate Passover with us. This year we are here. Next year we will be in Israel. This year we are slaves. Next year we will be free.
We turn to the 4 questions. I would invite anybody who is a child or a child at heart that wants to lead the 4 questions with me. There's no age limit. We'll invite everybody up. Come on up. Come on up. Look at them all running up.
Do you want to come up and help Scarlett? Grab Scarlett. Come on up, Mark, you're young. Scarlett, do you want to join your friends here?
Scarlett, would you like to join us? Sounds great.
Yeah, we need you in front of you. Join your friends.
Apparently 2. And 7 matches. Well, we'll join together in the singing of our 4 questions. Manishana halayla hazeh mikol halayla mikol halayla shekol halayla anu okri amen sumatsa amen sumatsa halayla hazeh halayla hazeh kulo matzah halayla hazeh halayla hazeh kulo matzah shebechol halaylos anu she'ar yirakot she'ar yirakot halayla hazeh halayla hazeh Maror, maror, halayla hazeh, halayla hazeh, maror, maror. Shebechol halaylos, einanim matilim, afilu ba'am echad, afilu ba'am echad, halayla hazeh, halayla hazeh. Shezeh be'ami, halayla hazeh, halayla hazeh. Shezeh be'ami, shebechol halaylos anu okrim. Ben yoshvinu ben mesuvim, ben yoshvinu ben mesuvim. Halayla hazeh, halayla hazeh. Kulanu mesuvim. Halayla hazeh, halayla hazeh. Kulanu mesuvim. And before we end our Seder, we will figure out the answers to all 4 questions. And we turn then to the 4 children. We did just have 4 children. 5 children, because it doesn't matter what age you are at heart. Exactly. Mark, we're going to hold you to that.
Okay. The Torah speaks of 4 types of children. One is wise, one is wicked, one is simple, and one does not know how to ask. The wise one.
What's the meaning of the laws and traditions God has commanded?
The wicked one.
What does this ritual mean to you? By using the expression to you, he excludes himself from his people and denies God.
The simple one.
What is all this?
As for the one who does not know how to ask.
You should explain to your children on this day, it is because of what the Lord did.
We, of course, have 5 children, and the last one says, when can I drink more wine? So we begin with Magid. Our story starts in the ancient times with Abraham, the first person to have the idea that maybe all those little statues his contemporaries worship as gods were just statues. The idea of one God, invisible and all-powerful, inspired him to leave his family and begin a new people in Canaan, the land that would one day bear his grandson Jacob's adopted name, Israel. God made a promise to Abraham that his family would become a great nation, but this promise came with a frightening vision of troubles along the way. Your descendants will dwell for a time in a land that is not their own, and they will be enslaved and afflicted for 400 years. However, I will punish the nation that enslaved them, and afterwards they shall leave with great wealth. And so we say, V'hi she'amda la'avotenu v'lanu. This promise has sustained our ancestors and us. For not only one enemy has risen against to annihilate us, but in every generation there are those who rise against us. But God saves us from those who seek to harm us. In the years our ancestors lived in Egypt, our numbers grew, and soon the family of Jacob became the people of Yisrael. Pharaoh and the leaders of Egypt grew alarmed by this great nation growing within their borders, so they enslaved us. They were forced to perform hard labor, perhaps even building pyramids. The Egyptians feared that even as slaves, the Israelites might grow strong and rebel. So Pharaoh decreed that Israelite baby boys should be drowned to prevent the Israelites from overthrowing those who had enslaved them. But God heard the cries of the Israelites. God brought us out of Egypt with a strong hand, with an outstretched arm, and with great awe, miraculous signs and wonders. God brought us out, not by an angel or messenger, but through God's own intervention.
Where was Moses?
I don't know. You tell me.
We continue with the 10 plagues. I invite you to dip your pinky or finger into your wine as we recite the 10 plagues. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But remember, when we're done, not to lick your finger.
Or you'll get a plague on you.
You'll get plague on you.
We know about that.
We say, dam, blood,
Sephardeia, frogs, kinim, lice, arov, insects, dever, cattle disease, shechin, boils, barad, hail, arbed, locusts, choshech, darkness, makot b'chorot, slaying of the firstborn.
Continue with the words of Dayenu.
Hotzianu, Hotzianu, mi Mitzrayim, Hotzianu, mi Mitzrayim, Dayenu, 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 natan lanu et ha-Shabbat, natan lanu et ha-Shabbat, dayenu. Die, dayenu, die, dayenu, die, dayenu, 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 die, dayenu, die, dayenu, die, dayenu, dayenu, dayenu. Ilu natan, natan lanu et ha-Torah, natan lanu et ha-Torah, dayenu. Die, dayenu, die, dayenu, die, dayenu, 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 die, dayenu, die, dayenu, die, dayenu, dayenu, dayenu. We have our youth to lead us some new ideas for Dayenu, bringing the ancient prayer Dayenu into contemporary needs.
When all workers of the world receive just compensation and respect for their labors, enjoy safe, healthy, and secure working conditions, and can take pride in their work.
Dayenu.
When governments end the escalating production of devastating weapons, secure in the knowledge that they will not be necessary.
Dayenu.
When technology is for the production and conservation of energy and our other natural resources are developed so that we can maintain responsible and comfortable lifestyles and still assure a safe environment for our children.
Dayenu.
When the air, water, fellow creatures, and beautiful world are protected for the benefit and enjoyment of all.
Dayenu.
When all politicians work honestly for the people.
Dayenu.
When all women and men are allowed to make their own decisions on matters regarding their own bodies and their personal relationships without discrimination or responsibility. People of all ages, genders, races, religions, cultures, and nations respect and appreciate one another.
Dayenu.
When all children grow up in freedom, without hunger, and with the love and support they need to realize their full potential.
Dayenu.
When all children, men and women are free of the threat of violence, abuse, and domination. When personal power and strength are not used as weapons.
Dayenu.
When all people have access to the information and care they need for their physical, mental, and spiritual well-being.
Dayenu.
When food and shelter are accepted as human rights, not as commodities, and are available to all.
Dayenu.
When no elderly person in our society has to fear hunger, cold, or loneliness.
Dayenu.
When the people of the Middle East and all people living in strife are able to create paths to just and lasting peace.
Dayenu.
When people everywhere have the opportunities we have to celebrate our culture and use it as a basis for progressive change in the world.
Dayenu. And we all join Kate together. If tonight each person could say that this year I worked as hard as I could toward my goals for improving this world, so that one day all people can experience the joys of freedom, I feel sitting with my family and friends at the table. Dayenu, Dayenu.
We join together in the second cup of wine. Remember that the light red is grape juice, the white is wine, and if you want red wine, it's on the side table. Then we will recall God's second promise, I will deliver you from bondage. Let us raise our second glass of wine and say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. And of course, I hope you didn't run out of Purell from your first hand washing, because it is time to wash again. And this time we say the blessing. So we say Baruch
atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim.
The days of I will wash my hands on behalf of everybody are over, since we all have Purell in front of us. Rabban Gamliel said, "We have not fulfilled our duty until we have explained these three symbols, Pesach, Matzah, and Maror." The Pesach, the roasted lamb shank bone, commemorates the Pesach, the lamb sacrifice made the night of the ancient Hebrews fled Egypt. Some say it symbolizes an outstretched arm of God. The Hebrew word Zeruah can mean arm. The matzah, there we go. What is the meaning of this matzah? Matzah reminds us of the dough that our people baked the night that they left Egypt, when they left in such a hurry that they did not have the time to allow the dough to rise. And we'll say the blessing over matzah, over the motzi, and then the blessing over matzah as we say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lecha min haaretz. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. Enjoy your matzah. It tastes the same as last night.
Last year.
And last year.
Last
Maybe
decade.
you're even using matzah from last year.
Never.
And the last symbol that we recall is the maror. You have some wonderful maror. Bitter herbs recall the bitterness of slavery, and they bring tears to our eyes, as should all enslavements. The blessing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat maror. Blessed are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with commandments and commands us to eat our maror. So everyone, big spoonful of horseradish should be coming. But wait, there is nothing further from the maror than the haroset, the sweet salad of apples and nuts and wine and cinnamon that represents the mortar used by the Hebrew slaves to make bricks. And so we know what's coming up, a little mixture of both of them in but a moment. A few more symbols. The orange is often placed on the Seder plate as a response to those who would exclude others from the community. The orange is now said to be a symbol of the fruitfulness of all Jews, whether they be gay, straight, male, female, or anything in between. The roasted egg, the beitza. We now eat from the hard-boiled egg, if you would like, a symbol of the Passover festival offering and a new life in spring season. And this year we have added sunflower seeds to many of our plates. This Passover, we have a small dish of sunflower seeds on the Seder plate to show solidarity with the people of Ukraine. Sunflowers are the national flower of Ukraine and have become a potent symbol of resistance to the recent military invasion. They symbolize unity, life, and well-being and can be seen across the countryside. After Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986, sunflowers were widely grown in the area to help remove radiation contaminants from the soil. And in 1996, sunflowers were planted in celebration of Ukraine's nuclear disarmament. And so with a dish of these powerful seeds at our Seder table, we say a blessing of peace and protection for all of the brave people of Ukraine and those beset by war everywhere. We also have some olives on our table here, our symbolic table as well, because we know of so many war conflicts going on in the world, and we pray for the olive branch of peace to take over our world, so that next year when we say L'Shana Haba Yerushalayim, we are saying next year in a world of peace and disarmament for all people. And if you have not done it already, you will see that it is time for your korech, While the English Earl of Sandwich is credited with inventing a snack called sandwich, the fact is Hillel actually originated it 2,000 years ago by combining matzah, charoset, and bitter herbs. And that indeed is the correct sandwich of a little bit of charoset, a little bit of horseradish on your matzah to enjoy.
Or if you're like me, a lot of it.
You're on. Be careful.
We join together in the third glass of wine. By now you should be well into your wine. We recall the third promise God made to the Jewish people. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm. And with our third glass of wine, we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam borei bri ha'gafen. L'chaim. And of course, we place a cup of wine for the prophet Elijah at the center of our table. At the closing moments of the Seder, the door is opened and we welcome this time, and we hope that our honored guests will come into our home and into our synagogue, and we hope that the final messianic redemption of all people is at hand. We sing Elijah's song and watch expectantly and hopefully for the wine and the cup to diminish, a sure sign that Elijah has visited. And of course, our security is standing at the front door, ready to let Elijah in. As we sing together. We sang about Elijah, and then we continued singing about Miriam, as the cup here is Miriam's cup, living waters, overflowing with water. Blessed are you, God, who brings us from the narrows into the wilderness, sustains us with endless possibilities, and enables us to reach toward our promised land.
And you may notice, for those of you who are streaming, that we are concluding our service and going to the prayers that follow with the dinner so that we can all be together for our celebration. We hope that after the service you will enjoy a lovely Seder in your homes as we will celebrate here. So it is traditional that we say the words of the psalm giving praise before our fourth cup of wine. The Hallel, Hodul Adonai, Ki Le'olam Hasto. Thank you, God, for your loving kindness is eternal. And we turn to our fourth cup of wine. We recall God's fourth promise to the people of Israel, I will take you to be my people. And so we raise that cup of wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Blessed are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine. And we have come to the end of the liturgy of our Passover Seder. We hope to have the opportunity in years to come to continue to tell the story of freedom with our loved ones. We look forward to all of our community being together in years to come as our room is filled and we are all celebrated in a peaceful Jerusalem, a peaceful Israel, a peaceful world. And so we pray the coming year will bring health and healing, joy and liberation, gratitude and wonder to all of the world. We say traditionally, Lashana Haba'a B'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem, may indeed there be peace for Israel and all the world.
Lishana Haba'a, Lishana Haba'a, Lishana.
Everybody.
And so at this time, our streaming Seder is complete. We hope that